Tottenham till I die, Spurs die hard. Tottenham till I die. Tottenham till I die. Tottenham till I die. Spurs die hard. Tottenham till I die. Tottenham till I die, Spurs die hard. Tottenham till I die.
Hello and welcome to the regular Friday edition of Spurs Diehards TTID Tottenham Till I Die. Well, I'm sure most of you haven't slept all day. You'll have heard the news, the breaking news today, and we're going to get into that straight away. But before we do that, I want to introduce my guest, Alan. Steve should be joining us shortly, and and we'll get and I'll go through the chat, and then we'll start. So, Alan, how are you? And how's the weather in California? It's about 1 degree here in London.
Oh my God. It's 25 today.
Wow.
And it's sunny and it's got a nice little breeze. It's a great, it feels like summer, but it's February, which is weird. Otherwise doing well. It's been an eventful day.
Well, we started a bit late. We've got about 10 of you watching us on various platforms at the moment. We've got a few of you in the chat. Just say hello to them. We'll get into it. So we got Brian, regular friend of the show. I know him in real life. Evening, Brian. Thanks for joining us this evening. Then we got Tafster 1728, Eager Tudor. Let's effing go, buzzing. Yeah, well, I hope he does give people a buzz. I mean, it's a bit of a polarized opinions out there regarding, but I think no matter whoever we brought in, they would have polarized our fan base because it's just the way we are.
Yeah.
So, and now we've got Graham, a regular friend of the show. Big up, Graham, for joining us. And Steve has just joined us. Steve, how are things in tropical Michigan?
Everything is great, man. I do apologize for being a little late. I was at a tattoo appointment. But I made sure I got here as quick as I possibly could. But I do appreciate the patience. Alan, how you doing today, bud?
Doing well, man. How are you doing? You look cold.
What would give you that impression?
Because it's hot. It's 70 today and sunny. So but it's February. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it must be.
Yeah, so Steve, how did the Spurs Diehards TTID tattoo look? What's it look like?
Say it again.
What's the Spurs Diehards TTID tattoo look like?
Oh yeah, it's magnificent. Let me tell you.
Let's say hello to Carl. How are you, mate? How you doing? He's in America as well. Audio artisan, I think.
Yeah, Carl's a good guy, man. I like Carl.
Yeah. And Graham Salah, hello. Right, so you will have all heard the news. We'll put the banner up. This isn't official, but there's been more leaks. There's been more leaks than water going over the Niagara Falls, right? On this one.
Right.
And it was a bit of a. I'll come to you first, then, Stevie. It was a bit of a surprise, but because we were linked with about 20 others, which are listed, which I've now ditched, of course, on the banner.
Sure.
But so it was a bit of surprise. I mean, I have gone out and got some info on, which I will share because you know me, I'm very fact-based and I like to get this stuff out there. So let's fill you in.
Yeah.
He's 47 years old, Croatian international. Played with Juventus, was a good player as well, defender, good footballer. During his early managerial career, he won the Croatian Cup in 2013. That's his only trophy. That was with Hajduk Split. Now, his playing style as a manager, he plays a three-man defence, strong focus on defence and ball possession, favours quick counter-attacks. So, and the other interesting fact is that Tudor worked with Fabio Paratici while assistant to Andrea Pirlo at Juventus in the 2020-21 season. So Tudor knows Dejan Kulusevski and Rodrigo Bentancur from that time. And he also knows Kolo Muani.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. So, Steve, what's your take on this soon-to-be-announced appointment? I expect it to be done tomorrow.
I actually like it. I think I'm in the minority. And when you look at his record, especially when it came to, I guess you can say his interim posts where he's taken over at these times, he's actually has pretty good record, to start with. And remember, this is like a 12-game sprint to the finish line where Spurs need to at least win 4 of those matches. And outside of Arsenal, Liverpool, and Aston Villa, the schedule is going to be favorable for Igor Tudor to come in and potentially get those results. But here's what I will say, and I think it's kind of important that fans understand this, that the pool of candidates to which to choose from was very, very slim, because a Roberto De Zerbi or a Xavi Alonso or a Xavi Hernandez is not going to come to Spurs with the injury situation that we have and only do it until the summer. They want guarantees, and it doesn't look like this board is willing to hand out those type of guarantees, because I would probably assume that the road leads back to Pochettino in the summer. So in the interim, it was literally, are you going to dust off Harry Redknapp for 4 months? Are you going to give it to a guy like a John Heidinga? Or are you going to give it to a guy who's been in a relegation scrap before? He as a matter of fact, rescued Udinese, I believe, in 2018 from the drop in Serie A. So he understands the situation that he's walking into. He plays like, I think, a base 4-2-3-1, a 3-2-4-1. No, excuse me, a 3-4-2-1, or a base 3-4-3. And considering that we just don't have a winger available, it's probably going to be a 3-4-2-1. And as you mentioned earlier, Adrian, he's worked with Kulusevski and Bentancur, 2 players that are probably not going to be available, and as well as Rando Kolo Muani. And so it's going to be interesting to see exactly how he goes from point A to point B. But I will say one of the things that players have said about Igor Tudor is he's a very good man manager. And from that, he challenges players, but he also, he's also gives players confidence as well too. And from that situation, that's something that this club desperately needs, is not just leadership, but also motivation or just good old fashioned confidence that they can actually get this thing done. And I think because of the limited pool that they had to choose from, I think this is probably the best option that they probably could. So from that standpoint, I'll give credit where credit's due and say that Johan Lang and dipshit McGee, Vinny Venkatesh, I think they got this right. So we'll see.
Alan, what do you think? What was the attraction for him? I mean, at worst, he gets, someone said, a 6-month contract. It's not a 6-month contract because the season ends in May. So you've got April and May and the rest of February. So he's virtually been given a 3-month contract. So what's the attraction for him to just come for 3 months? Why do you think he would take the job?
Why did they want him, or why do
you think he would? I mean, obviously we can't read his mind, but why do you think he would take the job on just say a 3-month contract, freelance basically?
Well, if it was me, it's quite a payday for a couple months worth of work. I'm sure they're making it worth his while. Considering we weren't in a position to bargain. He's not Thomas Frank, which is already a step up, in my opinion. But again, it could be that he's never worked in the Premier League, and the Premier League is the place to be. So I think any coach, given the opportunity to want to go to the Premier League, would go to the Premier League. And yes, exactly, Graham, that money is, of course. first and foremost. But his name will be on the biggest arena for soccer, for football. He will be featured now. He's going to get a lot of attention, negative and positive, whatever. Until he starts doing anything, we're not going to know whether or not the negative or the positive pans out. But this is someone that seems very self-assured, and I think when coaches get to that level where they're coaching in Serie A or in wherever they're coaching in one of the big leagues around the world, they're going to want to be where the best play, and the best play in the Premier League. So I think that was a draw, and I think even if he only gets a couple of months, look, there's the possibility we go down. There's a possibility we're relegated, in which case he may not even want to be with us at that point. So only giving a commitment through, I think it's until June, would benefit him. Again, he could walk away with quite a bit of money for a couple months worth of work. He gets the better months in England. He gets, coming in from February to June are better months, weather-wise, and at least in my experience. And he gets to say, I've worked in the Premier League now. That's on my resume. No longer can he, people question whether or not he's ever worked in the Premier League. Will he transfer well to the Premier League? Because that's the question everyone's asking now. I think, who was it? Someone, Tim Sherwood, someone was saying, they were like, how could he, they didn't think it was a good appointment. In the end, you only get Premier League experience by being in the Premier League. Ultimately we can hold that against him, but the only way to get the experience is it's that weird catch-22. The only way to get it is to be there, but to be there, you got to get, you got to be good enough. So in Vinay and Johan Lange's estimation, he must be good enough. I think in the short term, like with the new manager bounce, I think his experience would lead us to believe that we won't be relegated, that he will give us the new manager bounce. He will instill a bit more resiliency, mental resiliency into our guys, because he's a bit of a drill instructor, from what I understand. His practices are very intense. And yes, just as Graham was saying, Frank came from the Premier League, so it's not essential. It's a nice to have, but it's not required. It just gives people that good feeling inside, to say, okay, well, at least he's Premier League proven, so I can feel a little more confident about this. Whereas now he's kind of a wild card. But again, you want to be on the main stage, and the main stage is the Premier League. So I think that's why he's coming.
He's well travelled, Steve, isn't he? I mean, like, he's been in France, I think, Hajduk Split. He's managed Udinese, Lazio, Juventus. And yet Paratici still proposed him before he left for us. He still proposed him ahead of Frank. Right?
That's the
he's looking right already before he's even started, isn't he, Paratici? And probably when Levy was going, Paratici thought, well, I'm going as well. I've lost my voice.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, it's come full circle. The irony has come full circle that Johan Lang would stumble upon the exact same guy that Paratici was recommending to him back in November, when it looked like things were slipping out of Frank's hands. But I will say, to Alan's point, it's pretty easy, right? When you look at, what Igor Tudor's done over the course of the last 10 years, he's actually coached at some pretty big clubs, right? When you think about the fact that he coached at Lazio, he coached at Marseille, which is one of the bigger clubs in France. And of course, he coached at Juve, which is one of the biggest clubs in the world. And it didn't necessarily work out. And so this is an opportunity. Galatasaray. And I will say that this is an opportunity for him to put himself in the shop window so he could say, you know what? Yeah, no. I can coach at this level 100%. And when you look at the successful periods, it's generally right at the beginning. Within the first 12 games of a tenure, it always goes the best for him because of the new manager bounce. Things kind of sour towards the end. And so I think Johan Lang and Paratici are looking like, well, if we can just milk the best of what he's able to give, which is the new coach bounce, we'll get the 9 to 12 points we need to stay up. And that's it. That's for him. That's a job well done. For you, Igor Tudor. By the way, and if it happens when we stay up, he's going to get all the credit, and then he can take that. He can shop that in the summer for another opportunity at a big club. So it's kind of like a win-win for everyone involved.
Yeah, I mean, Conte had good words to say about him. I wasn't a fan of Conte ball. I hope that if he's going to play this 5 at the back, I hope it's 3-5-2. With especially if we're shorter wingers anyway now. I mean, Tell can play there, but he's an inside forward, centre forward rather than that. And we haven't really got any fit wingers unless you bring in Tynan Thompson, a left winger, but from the academy. But
well, if you go 3-4-2-1, you can play Xavi Tell underneath Solanke. You can utilize the speed, or maybe this is where a guy like Igor Tudor brushes off Armando Colomwani and gets him in a position where he can be utilized and score goals. Like this might be a blessing in disguise for a guy like Randall Colomwani, and we actually get goals out of him. So I'm looking at this nothing but a positive.
Colomwani definitely looked not really focused under Thomas Frank, and I wonder if someone like Igor Tudor can kind of refocus him. Maybe it was a respect issue. I don't know. I know the fallout, it seems like Thomas Frank lost the dressing room months ago. So hopefully, for the few months we have left of this Premier League season, he can get a tune out of Colomwani. It would be nice for him to get a tune out of him for what little we have left of him.
Yeah, the reason, I mean, a 3-5-2, because after that debacle against Newcastle, I mean, when Frank, he never adapted to a worsening situation. I mean, I've said all along, as much as Spencer's done a good job on the left at times, right, against an inverted winger, which would suit his right-footedness, I want left-footed players in left-footed positions, right foot. And with that, you could play Sousa if you've got 3 in the midfield. Now, I'm talking Xavi playing behind the front 2, but having 3 midfielders behind Xavi, because then your left and right midfielder can cover your wing backs when they go forward, if it's necessary, if they need to drop back quick. If you see someone bobbing on as a footballer, you're always looking around to see who's the threat. So if Sousa did go bombing, actually you'd have more protection. If you brought Sousa into the side and you've got 3 in midfield, there'd be more protection for each wing back. The right side and left sided, you could have your midfield destroyers, Paulina, but if you had Gray on the left and Gallagher on the right, they could cover you. They could get forward when they could, but they could also cover the wing backs if there were gaps. So the only thing I'm not a fan. That's the only 5 at the back system I like, when you got 5 in the middle, 5 across the middle, basically. Because whenever we've tried it before, when we haven't, if you don't do it in pre-season, why are you doing it during the season is a logical, conclusion to draw to, right? We didn't play 5 pre-season under Frank. That's why I kept telling everyone we ain't going to play it, but he did, right? But when your wing backs get pushed back, where's your plan? Where's your not plan B? What are you going to do about it? You should be switching to a back 4, then putting the extra body in midfield. You should switch, which Frank, to be honest, now he's gone. The more you look back at him, you think you were pretty damn awful, really. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And as it progressively got worse, he just kind of backpedaled into his own little turtle shell. Like he never actually made that stand just to try to make those adjustments. You're absolutely right about that. It progressively just got worse. He just, as another injury came, and the adversity kept piling on him. He didn't adjust. He just literally just continued to backpedal. And that performance against Newcastle, good God, that was in a lot of ways that was worse than the North London Derby, the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, square pegs in round holes. He panicked. Like, he's going for the more experienced players in the squad. Would like, we were told before, Frank, I didn't really know a lot about him. I always back every manager when they come in, and every player, whether I like them or not. Back them all at the club, wish them well when they're gone, right? But he just did nothing for me, but I still backed him, throughout. I think a lot of the fans felt the same way because, like, you haven't really got much of a choice. It was only the last couple of results, the West Ham, and even I started thinking, well, all right, I'm normally always 2/3 glass full, me.
Yeah.
But like, I'm not half full and half empty. I'm always but I thought, nah, you're a dead man walking. And I started expressing that, like, you're a dead man walking. I mean, he panicked, he got nervous, and what he did, he dug in. If he'd have been a man manager and like got in with the players and all that, they could have all, come up with a system together and got on a lot better. But no, he's not a man manager. In fact, his level is what it was at Brentford. No disrespect to Brentford at all. He's never getting a top job. Never.
Well, and even there are signs, even if you look outside of Tottenham, look how well Brentford is doing now without him.
Yeah.
They looked, I watched that game against Arsenal the other day. They looked very good. Igor Thiago is an amazing strike. Look how many people they lost, including Thomas Frank, and yet they're still fifth? Something like that.
They lose Mbemo. They lost Mbemo, Wisa, Norgard. They lost like some of their most important attacking pieces, and yet they were able to pick up. And the interesting thing is there was a video about Brentford recently that was put off talking about the current ownership when they came in, when they were in League One. And every single time they had a success, whether that was promotion or getting into a playoff push or whatever the case may be, the coach always ended up leaving because falsely the coach thought that they were the reason for the success, only for that coach to go on to never amount to anything, including Thomas Frank. And yet, and what it does is it reinforces the fact that they have an unbelievable system in place that allows them continuity and stability, and they can just plug and play coaches. It's just like what Brighton's able to do as well too.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, there's always going to be a peak and a limit because they're never going to spend. But for those clubs, are they happy just to be in the Premier League every single year? Yeah, 100%. And maybe they can have a one-off once every 5 years and maybe make a run in the FA Cup or something. And that's good enough.
He never fixed the midfield out. I mean, when you look at it, I mean, I've been going on it. I mean, it's what one of the first things you learn, I mean, I was taught, make the ball do the work, use all available space, which our players don't do. They'll pass a lazy pack. Instead of using space they're in, they were standing like statues and passing it sideways or backwards. And he never even fixed it with a blend. Well, when you're struggling in games, what do even managers like Sam Allardyce do or Neil Warnock? You pack the midfield.
Mm-hmm.
You put more in rather than leaving two in midfield against classy teams like Man City and things like that. Are you mad? You match them or put an extra one in, like we did when we played well against Liverpool in the second half. We had extra bodies. The fullbacks were tucking in at times into midfield, mate, and we were overrunning them. Like, didn't do us any good, but I mean, like, it made us look better. I mean, Frank just like he never got going, did he? He never got going.
The problem that I have was. Oh, go ahead. No,
go ahead.
I was going to say the problem that I have was his misuse of players. Maybe it was the misidentification, right? Because when you get a guy like João Palhinha, that is your stay-at-home holding midfielder, right? That guy is not going to cross the halfway line. And when you have a guy like a Rodrigo Betancourt, who actually is one of the better passers, one of the better progressive passers, he was the stay-at-home six, while João Palhinha was like a late box crasher, like a deep lying midfielder, late box crasher. There's a reason why he had 6-7 goals on the season, why Rodrigo Betancourt was always withdrawn. And it should have been the vice versa. And when Rodrigo Betancourt goes down and we get a guy like Conor Gallagher, is it is he going to be the one getting forward? No. As a matter of fact, he was the one that was and essentially a stay at home as João Palhinha continued to move up, or they would play Archie Gray, and then Archie Gray would be the guy, who would instead of being a stay at home six, he was the one that was the late box crasher. And it's like the ability to identify the strengths of certain players and putting them in the correct positions and using them correctly 100% was the reason behind the midfield continuity, and also taking out informed players and just benching them for no reason at all.
Yeah,
Pavsar started the season incredibly well, and then he gets benched for no inexplicable reason. And then, of course, it was interesting, the fact that he didn't rate certain players when you can see that there's a ceiling there. Like I will forever think that Matisse Tell can develop. This is the interesting thing. Like when you're thinking about Mauricio Pochettino and some of the things that he does well with young players, and the confidence in which he actually gives young players to go out there and develop, like Matisse Tell would be a good candidate for a guy like Mauricio Pochettino. Same thing with a young kid like Kinski. Like Kinski there's a player in Kinski, and one of the things that I didn't appreciate was the fact that he just threw him to the wayside, especially when a guy like Vicario struggles and there's no consequence for that. You have an opportunity to use a guy and give a young kid some confidence by putting him out there. No dice. And it was the misidentification of players that led to our midfield issues. 100%.
Alan, did you think Frank contributed to our injuries? I mean, like Porro, Kudus, Richie. Do you think he overplayed them?
He did. He over relied on them, and he was rotating informed players, like Steve said, keeping in players who weren't necessarily up to it. Richie kind of showed he had a purple patch for a couple of games, and that was pretty much it. And then, but he still got to start a ton of games, and over reliance on certain players. We saw what happened. Pedro Porro was like an Iron Man last season under Ange. Going through a similar injury crisis, and he tried again this time, but you roll the dice. You keep playing the same people over and over and over again. Thomas Frank, I think, unfortunately, I think it was a catastrophe waiting to happen, a car crash in slow motion, because he lost the dressing room months and months ago. And I just don't think the players had any faith in him. And, watching that Newcastle game, they looked so clueless. I was watching, who was I watching? Millwall against someone in the championship. And, the game flowed so much better. Yeah, it was Millwall. Something like and the game flowed so much better, even at the championship level, than what Thomas Frank was having the players. They just looked like they didn't understand. They were strangers to one another almost, the way they're playing, that like, I didn't know what was going on. And it'd be one thing if they were throwing him under the bus. I don't think they were. I think that his direction was confusing. I think that they were rotated incorrectly. And, at this point, Igor Tudor doesn't have much of a choice but to play who's available. He doesn't really have a choice. He's not only is he not spoiled for choice, but he's pretty much pigeonholed into picking certain people because those are the only people left to play.
Well, these are the injuries, Steve. These are the injuries we've got. Yeah. You couldn't make it up. I mean, they're all starters, basically. I mean, you might say Danso and Davis might not be regular starters.
Yeah.
And Odebert, if everyone's fit, possibly. But, we wouldn't be where we are if they had all been fit, but we are where we are. And now we've got to dig ourselves out of a hole.
I wonder if it was his direction or lack of direction that caused people to get injured, without a real clue of what it is that they're supposed to be doing, without clear direction, injuries happen, especially when they're played out of position. When you're not played in your you're not played in your favored position, and you start moving Palhinha into defense, or you're moving Archie Gray back into defense, or you're moving people around putting people on the left when they really should be on the right, and vice versa. You know, people are going to get injured because they don't know what they're doing in those roles.
And Steve, to give Vicario a chance on the ball, we bring every Met player back for a corner. When we do get the ball, there's no out ball because everyone's trying to run and get in position. When Villa come, Amram stuck 3 or 4 on the halfway line. He left 3 or 4 there.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Even under Ainge, he leave the 2 wingers stay wide on the touchline.
Yeah, and he would also stagger his midfield pair as well too, because if you're playing it out to a wing back, if you're playing it out to the right side, you always have to have that midfielder that's going to be somewhat staggered in the midfield so you can progress it into a central area. That just wasn't bad. Like if you remember, you would have your back line and his 2 holding midfielders were literally 5 feet away from the center backs, and so teams could just box everyone in, and so the result was just long ball after long ball after long ball, and we conceded so many possession, so many different opportunities in order to get into the game and utilize some of these players. And it's amazing how many how much concession in possession that we gave away, simply because we just literally just withdrew too far, too much, too soon. Yeah, it's listen, I'll just say this. I wish Thomas Frank the very best, and I'm sure he's gonna land somewhere. I would probably assume there's going to be a team in the championship that'll look at him and rate him because he's already, he's gotten 1 team up. And so from that standpoint, I'm sure he's going to land somewhere. But that being said, it is not the type of football that is necessarily sustainable in the Premier League. It's one thing to do it at Brentford, and again, no disrespect to Brentford, but we just found out that it wasn't necessarily Thomas Frank as it was the system at Brentford. So from that standpoint, we also saw what Thomas Frank was capable outside of that Brentford system, and it just didn't work. Okay, fair enough. For Igor Tudor, keep it simple and just tell your players to have fun and just enjoy football and go play your game, and keep it as simple as possible and let them express themselves. And I guarantee you, we're not going to go down. I almost like it because here's the thing: even with the players that we have, they're still good enough to win. They're still good enough to win a game. All he has to do is make sure he gets the substitutions correct. That's it.
Yeah, and he has the benefit where people are talking about he's not going to fix anything. He doesn't. To be honest, as an interim, his position isn't to fix everything because he's not going to have the time to do that. It's not about fixing. It's about, can we squeeze out enough points to stay up? And that's all we're asking, I think, of him, is to, get us those 12 points or however many points we need so that we're not relegated. And then he can walk away happy. We can all walk away happy. I'm not expecting him to fix everything. I would expect someone like Pochettino, with his ability to inspire confidence and stuff like that, I would expect him over time to fix things, but I wouldn't expect Tudor to fix anything.
His job isn't to fix anything. His job is to keep this team up. That's
it. Yeah. Alan, we got 12 fit players, but we got 14 games to go, 12 league games and 2 ECL games. That could be more if we scrape through somehow. You never know. 14 games, right? What's happened there? So, and with 12 fit players. Now, I don't know the timescale of those coming back. Beast just put in that Richie's back for the North London derby. I don't know about that, right?
Yeah.
Don't know if Danso or Porro's close or whatever. But so the 12 fit players, right? They can't play 14 games.
I mean, what choice are they going to have? I mean, this is beggars can't be choosers. We unless he starts playing some of the young players, from like the under 18s or something like that, and starts bringing them in.
Yeah, well, on that, I mean, this is why I wanted Heitinker and Burnett, because if anyone knows the youngsters, it's Wayne Burnett, having so much success for the under 21s. Most of the senior ones are out on loan. I mean, you're looking at Tynan Thompson, left winger. Williams Barnett looks fantastic at that level. He's your 10 central midfielder. Callum Alusasi, central midfielder. Then you've seen a bit of Janai Byfield, the centre back.
Mm-hmm.
You've also got James Rosewell. He can play centre back and right back as well. I mean, this is my debate on other podcasts was like, well, the thing is, like, he's not going to know these players. That's why I wanted Barnett at least to be part of any team, and maybe he will. Burnett, sorry. Maybe he will, because even Tudor, I mean, he'll know when he sees a fit squad and the amount of games we've got, unless he takes it game from game, that we can't. These people, they can't play 14 games. You know, they've got to have a break. You know, so all we'll end up doing is deepening our injury crisis. This is my main concern with the games that are coming. It's not who we're playing. If we've got fit teams out there, even with these, I'm confident we'll get the points we need. And not if we get a series of injuries, though. Then we'd be relying on youngsters more than we have to. But I think we're going to have to youngsters. Well, if they players get an hour and taken off to rest them so they don't get injured, and then youngsters come on for half hour. Steve, surely we're going to have to play some of these youngsters. I don't think it's a choice. I think we're going to have to do it.
Right. And this is why this afternoon when Billy T was on the program today, that I actually brought up the idea of bringing Mikey Moore, Young Min Hook, and even Luka Vuskovic back off alone. I understand it might be a disruption to their season, but that being said, desperate times call for desperate measures. And you're absolutely right. One of my biggest issues is that, yeah, you're right. I mean, because of the Champions League games, it's going to force this team into extra ties that may or may not be beneficial for this. And we really just don't have the squad depth right now to sustain not just in the Premier League, but for the rest of the season as well too. And to me, it doesn't necessarily matter about the ECL. Getting to the knockout stage is fantastic, but the reality is the first order of business is to stay up. And one of the things that, at least with a guy like Mikey Moore, like for instance, if they're playing in the in a 3-4-2-1, Mikey Moore would come up, would slide right into that that position that would be right underneath a guy like Xavi. So you actually can be able to rotate and actually have a kid that is ready to, at the very least hit the ground running versus a kid coming up from the U21s. At least with Mikey Moore, you have senior experience and same thing. And I understand that Yang Min Huk hasn't really played for Coventry City, but that being said, it's about, it's somebody that does have first team experience, even if it's a little bit, and it'll work in a pinch.
I mean, I think any callback on these players had to be done in January. So Frank again.
I think they can recall him at any point.
Yeah, they might be I'm not sure. If anyone knows, let us know. I know that we started putting callbacks in, and whereas we didn't before in the past, and we had all them centre back injuries last year. So I mean, I don't.
I think they can. I think they can. I think there's a fee that they have to pay potentially. I don't know. You might be right though. But that being said, I mean, that in itself is an option, but that's the, one of the things that you're going to have to pick and choose, right? So that's the thing. It's like if staying up in the Premier League is the I think Carlson Blue might be right, but if staying up is the goal, then the ECL, the Champions League, then does not become a priority, right? So if you're going to rotate with youngsters, unfortunately, that's probably where you're going to rotate in order to keep certain players fresh so you can actually pull this off. You would think, correct?
I think when it comes to the loans, I think from what I'm reading, the loan contracts are fairly structured where we can't just pull them back just because we need them. I think there would have to be something written into that loan agreement that says something to that effect. I don't know what else to. I mean,
I think the January transfer window would be the key, because while you're in looking
Yeah.
for players,
Well,
if
can you sign
sell,
freeze?
you
Can
hook
you
them
sign
then,
free
don't you?
agents? Can you utilize the free agent market? Are there players out there that you can bring in for 3 months?
Yeah. Would you have taken Raheem Sterling?
No,
100%. 100%.
No.
Yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt, because
And I like the player when he was in form, but no, not for me. But this is subjective whether you want him or not.
Yeah, no, 100%, because you're not signing him long term. You're just signing him through the end of the season. And if we had Raheem Sterling and we have Matisse Tell, at least we actually could play. We could actually play with wingers at that position. Is it great? No, but taking a flyer. Yeah, it's not long term. You're not.
You could play 5 across the middle and a front two of Solanke and Moani.
Yeah.
So it's not, and you've still got Tell. And at centre back, all right, we know Paulina can drop in there if you're worried about playing a free, not having enough. So Dancer will be back shortly. So you've got VDV, Romero after suspension. So you've still got a choice of 4 or 5 people you can use as centre backs. Even Gray can play there at a push, but I want Gray in midfield. I think that was the biggest disaster against Newcastle, moving him to fullback when Sousa should have played on the left. Spence should have been all right. And to me, Gray's future's in the midfield. That's where he should be playing, with Gallagher. And then you can play Paulini. If you're not playing him every game, Bentancur's fit, you can, play one or the other. But it should, to me, I want to see Gray. If Bergvall was fit as well, he would be another option in there. As long as Laughing Gas never puts another shirt on for this club, I'm fine, right?
Well, Gray had to be in the defense in order to score.
I called it halftime.
Those are the only people who score for us anymore, are defenders. All
the season ticket goals that sit alongside me. I called it halftime. I said, Basuma's got to go off at halftime. He's got to go. He's done nothing, right? And he didn't even seem interested at all because he knows he's going. We might extend his contract a year just to get some money for him.
Yeah.
And good, get some money for him. He owes us wages, right? He's been stealing a living.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah. Please stop, Steve. I don't know what that's about. Yeah. Well, I think the players have been shackled, mate. If you're playing long ball football, you're sitting back most of the time.
Yeah. Look how much respect Thomas Frank showed every single opponent we played. It's like he was afraid of every team we played, and we played so negative. And I just don't think his directions were very good. And I think that's why we started losing everything started to make more sense. Why Jed Spence was acting the way he was acting. Why Van de Ven was acting the way he was acting. The Pedro Porro, they were all kind of losing it with him. And I guess
apparently word's coming out now that a lot of the players, to show their disinterest and dissatisfaction, they were sort of turning up late for training, which is poor form. You don't let that start sinking in, because once the rot sinks in like that. Yeah. And look, Frank had lost the away crowd, and our away crowd are fantastic. We could double it easy, you know what I mean? But our away crowd are fantastic. But once you start losing the home ground and they're singing for Poch and you're getting sacked in the morning like they did against Newcastle, they weren't too bad. It wasn't a bad, decent capacity either, actually, for Newcastle. Yeah. I suppose everybody's got their tickets before, and it was a bit mixed, and we get the equaliser and the crowd were up because we're in for it, and then we go and throw it away. But this is how VAR could disallow Newcastle's first goal for like Willock's nasal hair being offside or something. You know what I mean? That's not football. They need to change this offside rule. So I think if you had clear space between the player and defender, just any daylight, right, between you and the defender, you get a lot more goals in the game as well, I think.
I don't know why we can't. I'm going to show my American side. In the NFL, they can tell very quickly if a ball, where the ball landed, who landed where, did they make it 10 yards or was it 9.5? They can do that very quick. I don't know why we can't do something similar where we just have automatic, they've got the technology. It's out there. I just don't think they're investing in the right technology.
I don't trust. That's the
I
cynic
wonder
in
if
me.
it's camera placement, right? Like for offside, right? I wonder if it's camera placement down the side, right? It looks like it's up in the corners. You know what I mean? And so, like, there was a like, I'll give you a good example of that Newcastle game. When Newcastle originally scored their first goal, it was whistled off for offside. But when you look at the replay and you look at the camera angle, it's from up in the right. It's in the south stand, but on the left side. And so you have that camera view, so you're not actually looking at it directly right down the offside line, right? So it goes one. It looked like it could go one way or another. You're absolutely right by that, right? It seems kind of funny to me.
I know referees are supposed to be unbiased and all that, but I don't trust the officials at VAR. I mean, I don't believe anyone's like totally unbiased, and I don't trust some of the decisions. I think some of the decisions are biased. I really do. It's a sad indictment, but I just think they do. I like the automated offside. Why? I mean, we're then letting the automated offside do it, and then let the VAR officials maybe overrule it or do as they please. Just leave it automated. If it's wrong, we trust the automation. It's done. Yeah. Offside or not, it should be able to come up with AI now and say, like, offside, done. Okay, fair enough. Automated, no argument. When crowds are singing FAR and all that, it's because it's taking so long. Players are getting cold, right? Could get muscle injuries because of it and things like that, warming down. Yeah, so to me, I just think the old offside rule was all right as far as I'm concerned. I still sort of look twice because now when I see a player offside under the old rule and the player behind him scores, but there isn't, the two players between the player and the goal, so you're off. I'm still thinking, offside. Then I'm going, no, it isn't. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. And like, yeah. So it still gets me. I'm still stuck in the past that way.
It doesn't make sense, right? They could find a handful of non-footballing fans who they train how to do VAR stuff so that there is no ingrained bias. They don't even have to be from the region. They could be from somewhere else, and they know nothing about the game except for what they're taught for VAR.
Or how about a FIFA refereeing crew, like an international FIFA refereeing crew? Those referees when they're not at the international stage, they're rotating between leagues with in the VAR booths. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like a refereeing crew that has no ties to England, so there is no bias.
Yeah,
I mean, this strict letter of the law. All right, what happened to the spirit of the law? When Dyer was given handball on a penalty and he had his back to the ball when it hit his arm, right? Yet it's handball, penalty. I mean, these are, yeah, it was for me as well.
Laughing gas. That's funny that you call them laughing gas.
Yeah. Well, it's twice, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, when referees used to ref, I remember a referee, Roger Kirkpatrick. It was great. Short guy, used to run. If it was a shirt pull, he'd make the expression shirt pull, towel, or he'd raise his foot and he'd go tap, tap. If it was a tap on the ankle, he used to virtually give you a reason for his decisions. Everyone loved him. He was good.
That's cool.
Well, so you're right. So now here's the thing. I wasn't around for this because this was in the 70s, but it shows that bias has been around forever when it comes to referees. And maybe you remember this, Adrian. It was the 1977 FA Cup semifinal between Everton and Liverpool. It was a Liverpool derby in the semifinals, and I think it was Everton actually late equalized to make it 2-2, but the referee called it off. Called off the goal because of what he called was a handball, except when you looked at the replay, there was no handball. And it turns out that referee ended up being a rabid Liverpool supporter. And one of the side judges later came out and said that guy came over to the crew and said, "All right, lads, we have to get our story straight." You know what I mean? So I'm just saying, it's like this has been bias within referees is nothing new. I would probably assume there's a handful of referees in this league right now that literally just don't like Spurs. I would assume
they're pulling from, I guess, if you have referees from the region where the Premier League is, you're very likely going to get it'll be very difficult to find a referee who doesn't have a favorite team, who doesn't have a preference. It becomes very difficult to find impartial, unbiased opinion people.
And that combined with a poor standard of referees out there.
Yes,
we tend to rely more on VAR, to do their jobs for them. I mean,
John Brooks,
I don't like the fact that the linesman won't put his flag up straight away for offside. They're not supposed to do that, blah, 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 and wait. And so if a player scores a goal, then he might put his flag up, or then they'll check it on VAR. I don't like all that. I used to like it when, even if the linesman was wrong, he puts his flag up. He might get it wrong. Fine. Like, you're not going to get it wrong that many times. It could be critical. Sometimes your season can rest on one decision, but they should. It's making them a bit more lax in what they're doing. I just find some of the challenges on forwards, the way like defenders are allowed to muscle them basically, and they don't get free kicks, are an absolute joke. It seems to me like same in the penalty area. I mean, like, it seems you can commit fouls above the waist and get away with them, and nothing's done. If a few penalties were started given for that, they'd soon cut that out. I mean, fair play to Richarlison, I think, and Solanke. I think they've took a lot of challenges from behind where we should have got the odd free kick. Not all of them. And like the crowd weren't happy with some of the referee decisions against Newcastle. But let's be fair, they could have won 4-0. I mean, like, so they were that much better than us. We were atrocious.
Was it Michael Oliver? Was that the game where he was our ref? I don't remember.
Was it Oliver? Who was the ref, guys, in the chat? Give us the referee.
Oh, maybe it was Michael Anthony Taylor, maybe? I think it was Anthony Taylor. Either way, I mean, it doesn't really matter who. They're all terrible. They're all so bad.
Yeah. He looked well for 100, though, but that's the plastic surgery, you see.
Yeah. Yeah, you should say you're older than you are, but you look great for that age.
Yeah. So, where are we? Okay. Yeah, 14 games to go. I'm going to bring. Well, before that, guys, there's like 30 of you watching us on various platforms. We've got regulars in the chat channel. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please go and give our videos a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. It really helps the algorithm. We bring you this content for nothing. I've put Steve and Alan's links up in the chat, but I've also got banners for them. So while I'm here, right, you can find Alan here at Team Tottenham Go. Get over there. If you're watching on playback, get over there, please. And you can find Steve here at Stateside Footy. So get over there, please, and give their channels a thumbs up and subscribe as well. Right. I've made 2 banners of our final fixtures because this is what Tudor's going to have to deal with. There's less here, actually, in this banner because it goes to the end of March. So we've got Arsenal at home. I know what you're thinking. Easy 3 points. Fulham away. Palace home. Liverpool away. Forest home. So Fulham are sort of doing okay. No one's expecting us to get anything at Arsenal. Palace, they've picked up a bit recently. Liverpool, we know they're tough at Anfield, and we win there about once every century. And then we get Forest at home. So, how do you think our new guy, our new boss, is going to acquire points here, Alan?
I would love to take points off of the, away from Arsenal, in that game.
Could happen.
And it definitely could, with a new manager bounce, we will have a very rested team, because the game's not until the 22nd. So we've got a fair amount of time.
On this, everyone's talking about winning 3 or 4 games, but in the last 6 seasons, the team that finished third from bottom, I think they finished with the highest amount of points. The team that finished third from bottom finished with either 35 or 36 points. We've got 29. So you're looking at 2 wins and a draw. I mean, if 12 games, if you got 12 draws, you'd be all right, you know?
Yeah.
But,
I feel pretty good. You know, I watched the game against Brentford, and I will say Arsenal is it's kind of like in a NASCAR race, you know, they're at a turn, but they always flub it on this last turn, or like in Top Gear, you know, through Gambon, you know, the last one, they kind of flub it. And right now they flubbed against Brentford. They are still a gettable team, even if they are the best in the world at the moment. I'm more concerned actually with Fulham and Palace. Those are games that we should do well, but we always seem to not do well. You know, the games where it's assumed we should be doing well, we find a way for Dr. Tottenham to show up. Those are the games where I'm concerned. When it's a big game, we tend to step up. Look what we've done in the Champions League. Against bigger teams, we do well. I mean, we do pretty well.
We had a weak Champions League draw this year.
But they were still Champions League teams.
Sure, I'll give you that. So here's the thing, right? Like I've been consistent by saying that I'm the type of guy that needs to see it to believe it, but that was under Thomas Frank. And it just lets you know that I was not really a big fan of the way Thomas Frank likes to play football. Now under Igor Tudor, that slate has been wiped clean. And if this team comes out gunning against Arsenal, you know, even if it comes down to the 90th minute and, you know, we end up losing 2-1, but we put in a full match. From that standpoint, it lets you know intent. And at that stage, I'm certain that against the Fulhams and Crystal Palaces and the Nottingham Forest, we'll be able to take 3 points as long as that intensity is from game to game to game. I don't see why we can't get the 9 to 12 points needed just to, you know,
stay up.
Put this conversation to bed. We're going to know against Arsenal, right? From the opening minute, what this team looks like, what our intent in the first 10 minutes is going to look like. And, you know, from that standpoint, you know, I think Adrian listed some of Igor Tudor's qualifications earlier in the show. But that being said, surely he understands that he has to come in and he has to attack from the word go. You can be defensively sound and resolute, but you can also get forward and score goals as well too. There's still enough talent on this team where we can score goals. And that's the thing. It's like that Arsenal game is going to let us know what the next 12 are going to look like. So I don't want to put a point total on it. I just want to focus on Arsenal first. But you're right, though. I mean, the schedule would suggest that we'll stay up.
Yeah,
that's what the schedule looks like. The only 3 games that are going to be tough are Arsenal, Liverpool, and Aston Villa. Outside of that, there are still enough points to keep us up. So,
well, on that, Steve, I'll stay with you. This is just the fixtures to the end of the season. After that, let's look to our last games. We've got Sunderland away, Brighton at home, who are dropping like a stone at the moment, Wolves away,
who looked awful against
Villa away, Leeds at home,
Chelsea
away, and then
Chelsea. I forgot about Chelsea.
And then Everton at home. I think we've got more wins against Everton than any team in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Right? So we hope it doesn't go down to that game, obviously. But
I
mean, you don't know what you get with them. They flew out the traps, didn't they? And they've got some results, and they're like, you don't know what you're going to get going to Sunderland, really. They're hard to beat. I think they've only lost a couple of games up there.
Yeah. I think, well, Sunderland, first and foremost, Sunderland will stay up. They're sitting at 11 on 36 points. They're definitely going to stay up. The teams that right now are fighting are Leeds and Forest, and where we get them in this run. So from that standpoint, and we get Leeds at home too. and we were able to take a win on the road at Leeds. And so from that standpoint, I'd like to think that maybe psychologically, having gotten them once in the season, we probably could, but do that again. But again, you throw out some of the bigger names out there. There still is plenty of points out there to make it worthwhile. I will say that we should have beaten Sunderland the first time around. We went into halftime up one, and it wouldn't have been out of the question to get a couple more, but for whatever reason, we took our foot off the gas in that match. And I think one of the things that I want to know about these players is whether or not revenge is something that's on their mind. Are they capable of running a little get back on some of these teams that they dropped matches earlier in the season? Fulham, I would like to think that they're hungry to set the record straight against Fulham and Forest, and some of these teams and Wolves. One of the things that they don't want to see, like this is going to be a gut check 12-game stretch for these players. And, a lot of us seem to think that some of these players are great, but when their back is truly against the wall, how do they perform? Last year they were, yes, they finished in 17th place, but they were clear of the drop. There was no risk in them going down last year. Now all of a sudden, here we are. And what kind of player are you? Are you willing to dig deep? Are you willing to respond, or are you happy with what you've been able to put out?
Right, we'll just go a little bit back onto the Tudor topic again, because Gary from Project Spurs, get over there, guys, to Project Spurs and subscribe. They've got great content there with Gary Ward, and Callum's over there as usually with us as well, as is Phil from Frankfurt, and Joseph and Cy, Brummy Spurs as well. We sort of like bounce on each other's shows when there's gaps, when we don't clash. So, Al, this looks like it's a done deal now, as Gary's posted. Tudor signed his contract, no options to extend, no option to stay on past the summer.
But that's a good thing. I think it's definitely not a bad thing. And I think the fans, it allows the fans to kind of get behind this interim manager without a lot of risk. And that there's a good thing with that. We can kind of just get the best of him. Pretty much each manager, when teams get the new manager bounce, they get a bunch of games where they're doing well. Look at Manchester United, with Michael Carrick. They're doing great right now on this new manager bounce. We'll see what happens with Nottingham Forest, because Vitor Pereira is over there now, and they may get some bounce. Chelsea got a bounce when they brought in, was it Rosinger or whatever his name is? Yeah. So this is kind of like not a lot of risk, in my opinion. And as Steve pointed out earlier on, they were slim pickings. It's not like we were spoiled for choice. There was not a whole lot of option out there, and I guess they're looking for something that they felt his style of play, the way he coaches, is something that this team needs right now in order to stay up. Can he drag the team across the finish line? And that's all he has to do. I have no interest in him being here for the long haul. I don't think that, I would rather Pochettino. I think that this is I really do. I think I would like to see Pochettino come back. And I think that Pochettino would bring back get a lot of fans back on board if Pochettino was here, because I think a lot of fans have a lot of nostalgia about Pochettino. But again, I think it was the right move. Like Steve said, people may not have liked Igor Tudor as a coach. Maybe they have, they see that, everywhere he went, he kind of left on a bad note, although I would argue most coaches that leave on a bad note. They don't generally they don't leave when they're doing great. They generally leave on the low note.
No, not everybody leaves the way that Jurgen Klopp left.
Right. Most people don't get that opportunity.
Right, but on this, Milton's great question for Milton, who's down under. Steve, question to the panel: if Igor Tudor does a great job, would it be offered the job permanently? And I'm a Pochin person, definitely Pochin me.
No. Like, listen, this is literally just till the end of the season. One of the things that I'd like to see is if they really do want Poch, then they should sign him to a pre-contract right now and get it over with. And that way they don't waste time in the summer negotiating. They're getting it done before the World Cup, and as soon as the U.S. go out, then Poch is at Hotspur Way literally the next day, and things move. Things move quickly. There is a way that you can get this done and out of the way, and so everybody understands that Poch is with the U.S. and through the World Cup, and then bam, he hits the ground running in the summer with Spurs. That's what I would like to see. And hopefully they make this happen within the next week. That would be fantastic. But, here's the thing. If Igor Tudor does a great job and, of the remaining 12 matches, he wins 6 with a couple of draws and a couple of losses, and he gets all the credit for keeping this team up, then all that does for Igor Tudor is make him look good in the summer. And I'm sure that whether maybe it's even here in the Premier League. Maybe when Iriola or maybe what's his bucket from Fulham, Glasner at Crystal Palace, or Marco Silva of Fulham take off in the summer. Then Igor Tudor matches what some of these other clubs are looking for, and because of the job that he did with Spurs, and he stays in the Premier League, or he goes back to Italy and take the Fiorentina job with his boy Paratici, whatever the case may be. Like, this is why he's here, because I get the impression that he still wants to coach at a high level, and so this is an opportunity to rescue a team. And I don't think he can go 12 for 12, and I don't think he stays. This is literally just till now, until the end of the season.
Okay, we come back to the last banner we've got of the remaining fixtures. Milton's good question here.
Yeah,
Alan,
very good question.
do you lads reckon Lukovac could ever play on a Spurs shirt? Maybe if Olga does a good job for us, some former Croatian connection.
Well, I mean, he's under contract, right? So yes, I know there are teams that want him.
He only signed. We couldn't add him to the squad last because he was 17. And believe it or not, when you're 17, as joke as it sounds, you can't even change in the men's changing room with the rest of the squad.
Oh, yeah.
Separately. That's probably a paedophile protection thing or whatever. There has been some of that in the game, as there is in all walks of society.
Although if anybody thinks that he's going to be the victim of...
He had his birthday was in February. His birthday's in February, right? So he will have signed, obviously... Yeah. I mean, look, we paid 12 million for him for Hajduk Split, right? He went out to Polish side. He went out to Westerlo, what you call him. He's now with Hamburg, right? So that would be unconditionally, and he signed his contract, his professional contract, because you can sign a 2-year scholarship with a 1-year professional contract when you're 16. So the 2 years takes you to 18, but you can't sign a professional contract until you're 18. And it's to stop you being exploited as well, right? So he signed at 18. Now, no one's telling me you're paying 12.5 million for a 16-year-old kid. He isn't on a 5-year contract with a year's option or something like that, or 2 years option, right? So the fact is, in Hamburg, he's going nowhere. Yeah. And I've posted so many videos of Luka Vasiljevic in different phases of games and all that.
Oh, yeah. He's a beast.
Gary Ward watches. I mean, he's a coach, right? He's coached at St. George's and things like that. He'll have seen them as well. I mean, like, this kid is a defender. He's the best at his age I've ever seen.
Yeah,
I've ever seen. He's so good on the ball. He can shift his feet and lose an attacker and all that. It's not like the old-fashioned defender would clear it, hoof it, and all that. He's as calm on the ball as Ramirez at his best. Whether he's on the touchline or crowded or whatever. And in his videos, unlike Sousa, who you like because he's got pace, at least in Luka Vasiljevic videos, you actually see him defending, because a lot of these defenders, you only see them when they're attacking because they look sexier.
Mhm.
But you see him heading the ball, you see him tackling, you see him moving, switching play. He's got a long ping
Yeah.
forward ball on him like
Yeah.
Alderweireld. He can ping the ball, and he scores wonder goals as well, right? And like,
Yeah.
he
Yeah,
could
for
play,
sure.
he could
And
play in midfield, basically, looking at him. I mean,
you know,
I just
what's
think
interesting. What's interesting is the fact that yes, like Luka Vuskovic will play in a Spurs shirt, just not this year, right? And Igor Tudor is not going to be around next year, so I mean it's a moot point. But what I will say is that you don't give up wonder kids like Luka Vuskovic, right? You don't just be like, oh well, he wants to play for his brother, so sell him to Bayern Munich. Why are we helping Bayern Munich out?
Yeah.
Like no, like
Not a feeder club.
let them like if they wanted Luka Vuskovic, they should have signed him first.
they
Right,
will pay 70 million. It's
Yeah,
actually pronounce his name Vash as if it's SH. It's
all
Vash.
right,
Vuskovic.
Boshkovic. Well,
But
okay,
I
so
think
here's the thing though.
pronouncing the K
If-
as well.
by
But
the way,
remember,
if-
we farmed out Saar for 3 years to Metz when they got relegated. We
Sure.
farmed out you Doggy before we brought him back,
Udinese.
and we kept them.
Mhm.
Vaskovic is going nowhere.
Well, he's
that's-
contracted through.
Bayern Munich will
So
try and
here's
make
the
an
thing,
offer
though.
for him. So
But here's
Bayern Munich
the
gonna
thing
have to
though,
make an
Adrian.
offer for him. Sorry.
But here's the thing though. Next season, like let's just say that it plays out over the summer.
He's in
That
the
Romero,
squad.
well, like let's say that they decide to move on from Romero next summer. You still have VDV. Vuskovic goes right into the starting 11. Like
Yeah.
he's that special.
Mm.
He's that. It's like I understand we have Kevin Danso, but we also have Luka Vuskovic.
Yeah.
And that is your starting right center back next season.
Yeah, he
Under-
scored the
under-
one game he played for us, I think.
And it's
I
like
was-
under Maurizio Pochettino, it's like you're not
I
going to
was
worry
talking
about
to him
him.
about it actually, and then he
You're not going
agreed
to like,
with
dude.
me.
He's playing at a high level in Germany.
He's better.
You don't have to worry about him struggling in the Premier League.
At his age now. Danso to me is like a Ben Davis. He's happy to be at the club. He's got Europa League winners medal and all that, and he's had some good games recently and shown decent form. Danso, but Vuskovic beats him in every metric.
Yeah.
He's better on the ball. He's a better passer. You know, he's just better in every metric. I mean, I think the guy's a phenomenal. He's going to be, mark my words. I mean, you clip this, everyone. He's going to be world class.
Yeah.
He will be world class. You know,
And he's contracted through till June 30th of 2030. So we've got him for another 4 years.
and
you
there'll
know,
be an option on that as well.
Yeah.
He
I mean,
starts next year in my mind.
Mhm.
When we got Kudus in, I was saying to Ian Meth, we were joking about it. I went, why is it like, if it doesn't matter if you take an option up, why do clubs only do a 1 year option instead of 2? And actually on the Kudus deal, there's a 2 year option on it. Well, there might be a 2 year one on Vuskovic as well. I don't know. There'll definitely be an option. Right.
Yeah. Oh,
So-
yeah.
And of course, the other kids I like, I hope Donnelly smashes it at Oxford with Lancashire.
Mhm.
But
I like Lancashire.
Mikey Moore again. Oh, I mean, let's talk about him as well while we're here. I mean, like, I've watched this guy at different levels. I mean, Gary's probably seen more of him than I have, and I watched every under-21 game in their sort of double winning season, and I watched the young kids win their League Cup final as well, and all that. And Mikey Moore, even through all the young England levels he's come up, he scored goals. He used to be like player of the England tournaments. His balance, his low centre of gravity, and he's quite stocky for his age. The way he can just shift his weight side to side and slalom through players. He loses the ball at times, but he's got fantastic vision as well. I mean, he picks players out, but some of the balls the players don't get, they should be getting. You know what I mean? When you're watching.
Yeah.
I watched him in Scotland, which is another good test for him. He's began to shine under this new manager. The other manager he didn't.
Yeah, Danny Roll. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He because when they started the season, they were under Russell Martin, the guy that essentially got Southampton relegated last season.
Mhm.
And how they were using, the system in which Russell Martin likes to play is he likes his wingers hugging the touchline. And Mikey Moore's the type of guy that kind of has to be close to goal for him to make an impact. And as soon as they fired Russell Martin, they brought in Danny Roll. They played a back three system. It was like a 3-4-2-1, and they actually had Mikey Moore underneath the main striker. In I guess you can say in that inverted 10 role, and he's been unbelievable. He's been very good off the left side.
It's going to be interesting to see who goes away on the pre-season tour. Very crowded again. We've got the World Cup, the transfer window, pre-season tour. You'd like to think Mikey Moore and he'd be going, Lancashire would be going, Alusasi would be going.
Yeah.
You'd like to think that Williams Barnett would be going, Tynan Thompson would be going. They're there at the younger level. But the first time I saw Tynan Thompson on the left wing, I thought, where did we get him from? You know, I mean, he's had games where he hasn't, because now everyone two mans on him now, right?
Mm-hmm. I haven't seen him play.
Yeah.
When he's on song, mate, he's unstoppable. Like, you know, he's very effective. But, you know, I've seen him hit and miss, but there's a talent there. Definitely a talent there. And so a lot of these, I mean, some of the others, they'll be sold. You know, they'll be sold to make money to pay for the academy. I mean, like, I think when I looked a few seasons ago, I think something like 3% of Premier League academy players actually become members of their squads, let alone play for the first team.
Wow.
And most of those players, when all this myth in the media about, oh yeah, get that manager in, he develops young players, he brings them through. Load of bollocks. It's absolutely rubbish. I mean, the only time managers bring them in the top six when they can afford to buy replacements, ready-made replacements, is when they have a crippling injury list. They play them. It's the reason why Graham Bergwell have got so many games for us, because they've been drip-fed into the team. They would have been drip-fed in otherwise, but they've got some valuable experience, as has Simmons, you know, and then you've got Tell and Odobert. They would have only been drip-fed into the team, although they haven't had as much game time as Graham Bergwell have had. Right, so there's a good crop. So we'll see at the end of the season. But to me, I think Vuskovic and Mikey Moore would have to be. I mean, told that you guaranteed game time under a new manager if it's Poch next season, and you bring those two in minimum. I'd like Lancashire brought in, and others, because I think he's just a natural striker. I think Scarlett, who's on loan in Scotland, I think he'll just be sold.
Yeah, he should be sold though. Get him game time somewhere else.
Yeah,
he'll get a lot more game time.
There's a certain amount of there's a certain amount of youngsters that have been within I guess you could say our loan army guys. And I hate to say this, but I mean, I think Jamie Donnelly is one of those candidates along with George Abbott and Dane Scarlett that could be moved on. I would like to hold on to Will Lancashire just in case, because I actually want somebody that can actually evaluate him, make that decision. But yeah, I think I tend to agree with you. Of those
he scored against Galatasaray, then blocked his copybook by getting sent off.
So, yeah. But I mean, of those that are currently out, you know, Mikey Moore and Vuskovic are the two that are probably probably come right into the first team. But you know, I don't. The only reason why I want players out on loan is if you know for a fact that they're going to be a part of your first team, you just want them to play, and you have somebody covering the position in the meantime. But some of these guys have been on loan for the last 3 goddamn years with no end in sight, and it's like as far as I'm concerned, you're just kind of wasting that potential. You might as well move those players on. You might as well move those players on and use that money either in your academy or use it for your transfer budget.
It's just if they could be consistent at a level. I mean, Tyrus Hall is another talent. He's a talent, you know, but he's another one. When he's on song, he's a brilliant ball carrier, you know. And
even we got Byfield. I didn't know Byfield until he came in.
Byfield will be fine. He'll be fine. He's got a maturity beyond his years. I mean, he doesn't look that age. If he was in his mid-20s, you'd look at the size of him, like you'd think,
he's such a big kid. Such a big kid.
And he's so composed as well. He didn't take no crap off that German defender against Dortmund, did he? Who tried it on with him because he was young. He wasn't taking no crap off of him.
Yeah,
so that's what you want. Yeah. We'll get back to the fixtures. Just go through the chat. Do you know what it is? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you're welcome to come on, Gary. We'll get you on next Friday with these two.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Well, that's booked. That's booked in. Luke will be in Spurs next. Yeah, he's got to be, Steve. He's got to be. Otherwise, then you think, well, if you've got players like Mikey Moore, and you can't like find a place from now. I mean, Mikey Moore again. He's only just turned 18 as well. I think so. In August, his birthday's in August. I know that. So
he may want to play with his brother, but he is
well,
under contract.
Can come over and play with us, then, can't he?
Yeah,
That's
the thing. That's the thing. Go by his brother then. Yeah, go by his brother.
Yeah. Who's at the moment on a drugs ban, so it's not too good. Mind you, probably be able to go and party with Laughing Gas. Right. Are we already pinning hopes on
I would like to party with Laughing Gas. That's what I would like to do.
Yeah. It's probably a lot better that way.
Yeah. Fair call, mate. Vlad will rescue us. He'd probably have a bit of adjustment. I mean, all players got to adjust, but he's had each level he stepped up, he's had no problem adjusting.
Yeah, Danso is a very good rotational player.
Mm-hmm.
You keep Danso as a squad player. He's good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fans love him, and don't think the majority of fans won't have seen as much as Vuskovic as we have, and Gary has and all that. They won't have. He's a generational talent for a centre back. Like he's a Rolls Royce, right?
I wouldn't think that he would take a defensive.
No.
Remember, the coaches at this level, not a knock on them. There's a level of ego you have to make it to this level. And I just don't see someone. Yeah, I just don't see someone with that level who can come up into the Premier League and succeed. Why they would suddenly want to take a back seat.
Right. And it's like you've already coached Juve, you've coached Marseille. And you look at yourself as a head coach somewhere, and you're not just going to take a job underneath Pochettino. You know what I mean? That's just not. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
The only way that you do that is if there are no head coaching jobs available, or
you do very poorly, like Heitinga, who failed at Ajax. So when he comes in, that's why I never thought he was going to be our interim, because he did so poorly with Ajax. I just think that talk about a wild.
He did okay with Ajax. Not great. Not great, but yeah. I love that term, oven ready. I really do.
Well, I was hearing Machina Joe. I mean, on Gary's podcast earlier, I mean, they were going on about Joseph was going on about that Tudor got a good tune out of Moani. So
yeah, he did.
I mean, they watch Italian football. I don't. I'm very Spurs centric. If I'm not watching Spurs seniors are doing that, I'm looking at what the academy are doing, blah, blah. Don't go out my way to watch Premiership games. I'll watch so many, I'll stream them or whatever it is. But if it goes robotic, I'm just like, the
Newcastle game was hard to watch.
No, the under-21s are better to watch. From both sides as well, because all the teams, they just go for it. They do teams out there.
The Italian volunteer fireman isn't my first choice. We are Spurs TV.
Yeah, Luke DG 96. It's a good point you bring up. Actually, Vuskovic says that he lacks a bit of pace, but for his height and his stride, because of his height, when you used to have to make two paces sprinting against a long-legged sprinter at school, you know what I mean? Because they you've got two strides to their one. I mean, he's not looked slow when I've seen him. Reads the game so well for his age as well. I mean, it's like, why? Well, he wouldn't at the moment. He's staying at Hamburg. And then they're going to sit down at the end of the season and talk with Spurs. And he's under contract. And he'd be on good wages. Probably.
And we're going to say, no, you can't have him.
Right.
And he'd probably be given a pay rise anyway and having his contract extended even further.
I mean, he's a professional. He should be a professional first and foremost. And he signed a contract. So he's got to, he may be young, and he may want to go places. I'm sure there are other players that are fans of other teams, but they're playing for Spurs, and
he might like to play with his brother, but you can't tell me no player doesn't want to play in the Premier League and test themselves.
Yeah, but I will say that, one of the biggest things with Vuskovic is the fact that there is uncertainty with our center backs. If we do move on from Romero, you're not going to get rid of them, understanding that there's also a good possibility that VDV eventually wants to exit stage left as well too, and so you're going to need competent replacements. And Vuskovic is definitely part of that. Is definitely part of that equation. Like, even if somebody were to offer you 60 million for the kid, you're still going to say no.
No, you're not selling them. Mikey Moore will be a 10. Left wing, right wing, 10. Ball carrying midfielder, even if he drops deep. His kid's got it all. He's got it all. I mean, yeah, I think Scarlett will be sold. And don't forget, we've got Oliver Boaston, who's come in, striker for Leeds, and we brought in Mason Mealy, who's got a bit of a back strain still from Ireland.
And we got Josh Wilson from Hearts, right?
Yeah, and Williams, is it? James Williams.
James Williams.
Yeah.
And no, James Wilson.
Yeah, James Wilson. Sorry, yeah. So he's came in, but these are younger players. If you want to see anything about Mason Mealy, just go and click on YouTube when he was playing for St. Pat's in Ireland. You'll see some of the goals and his feet, his quick feet he's got for a striker.
Yeah, I'll say this, man. Mason Mealy actually has the he has the look of a competent striker. His skill set's actually pretty good. And don't get me wrong, I mean, it's the Irish League, so it is what it is. But that being said, it's like, if you have the tools, you have an incredibly high ceiling to get to where you're expected to be. I mean, from that standpoint, from that base, if you have the tools, all you just need is the minutes at that stage.
Divine's up north on loan.
Yeah,
and
he needs to be sold too.
It's not Blackburn, is it? Where is he? He's
Blackpool.
Is he at Blackburn? He's smashing it, really. He's doing well, yeah. He's up north.
Preston North End.
Alfie Devine right now is at Preston North End.
Yeah, I just posted one of his pages to Brian Daigle, because Brian's a big fan of his, and on his last games that he played out there. Yeah, he's doing ever so well there.
Yeah, I know that. And yes, I'm well aware that Och likes you. Milton Nobrega is asking which 3 teams get relegated. He says Wolves, Burnley, and Forest. I'm going to say Wolves, Burnley, and I think West Ham go down. I think West Ham right now are playing pretty well, but I don't know, man. It's going to be they're limited. They're going to be limited.
I saw how they did against Manchester United. They did pretty well.
Yeah,
I think that Forest just has better talent.
It's whether they can keep it going, because that's all right playing well when you've got nothing to lose. But when you start closing the gap, you've got to keep it up. Yeah.
We are Spurs TV is gold. Tell Sitter he missed last match is still traveling upwards in the air. It's in orbit.
I don't disagree. We need a coach, our long-term coach, to do more than a job. But the coach that's the interim coach, he just needs to do he's only here to do a job, a quick job.
That's it.
It's a smash and grab, keep us in the Premier League, and then he can go his happy way.
Now, Luke DG 1963 said Forrest is going down. Pierre is going to get sacked, and Frank will be Forrest's 5th manager of the season. What is the record for managers?
It was a rundown there. Yeah, but apparently, David, on what Joseph and that was saying, that the end of his term at Juve, under his system, he couldn't score goals. But that always happens when a manager gets a drop off in form, he then gets booted, and it's forgotten what he's done before. But he was there before, so he was doing all right. It's just that maybe, I don't know, maybe that cost him Champions League or something, and that got him the boot. That's what normally happens.
Well, like we said, coaches only get they're only as good as their last game, that they win.
While I'm going through the chat, question for you too. I mean, it's about injuries and having a limited amount of players. Xavi Simons, right? He can't play the 14 games, right? We're going to anybody plays,
and he's carrying a knock too. He's carrying an ankle knock right now.
If he plays 8 of them, 9 of them, even if you say if he's given an hour and pulled off, who have we got as a creative player? Unless you bring William Barnett in or Callum Alusasi in.
Callum Alusasi, yeah. By the way, I just found out what the record is for most coaches in a single season in the Premier League, and it was actually set this season by Nottingham Forest. The record is 4. 4 permanent coaches in one season, which Forest just broke the record this season. Prior to that, it was in Leeds United in 2022-2023, Watford in 21-22, and Swansea in 16-17, and they employed 3.
Wow.
Yeah, there you go.
Mad Marinakis is gonna. They'll probably wind up hiring Thomas Frank. I mean, he likes.
I like Marinakis. You know why? Because that dude just wants to win.
Yeah, someone can beat that. Look, National going. They had 6 managers in one season, 84. Must be a record, yeah.
Sydney United, fantastic.
Right, let's get back to that last group of fixtures.
Okay.
This was the last group to the end of the season. These are the teams we've got. Like I say, Sunderland away, and both of you have given us enough points to avoid relegation in the first group. To remind people of the first group, this is the first group because it's just to the end of March, right? So that's Arsenal home, Fulham away should get something. Palace home, you'd hope to get something. Palace home, you'd hope to win that. Even if you said Fulham away, a draw. For Liverpool away, nothing. Forest at home, I know we got poor home form, so you'd still be looking at 7 points here, which is probably enough. And then we move on to these. Sunderland away. I don't know what to really make of Sunderland. They come out flying and then they sort of like hit the buffers a little bit. But
I mean, they hit the ceiling, I think, of where they were going to get with the players that they have. You know, they invested.
They had a lot of players away at AFCON, didn't they?
Yes, they did. They did. But they have a very talented squad, I think. And considering in general, you know, the teams that get promoted tend to go right back down the next season. They're bucking the trend, both them and Leeds. You know, and I think Sunderland has done very well this season. They've played very well against tough teams. I think they tied Arsenal. That
match at Stamford Bridge when they won it in the 95th minute.
Yeah.
That game that was such an impressive win from Sunderland. I still think back on that match, and that is the epitome of what Sunderland was able to accomplish this season. Just the fact that, you know, they raced out to like a 21-22 point swing in the first, you know, quarter of the season, and it set the tone, and they've been able to weather the storm.
I know
they deserve to stay up.
I know home form's been crap, but Brighton recently, they've been dropping like a stone, haven't they? And that's usually a bad thing. I mean, like, you'd think, I know we're playing at home, but our home record's got to turn for the good sooner or later, isn't it? It's got to start turning around.
Yeah. And you're right. Brighton has sunk like a stone. In this one, I'm going to say that we beat Wolves, we beat Leeds, and we beat Everton. There's 9 points right there. I think we lose to Chelsea and Villa, and I think we draw against Sunderland and Brighton, and right there, there's 11 points right there.
All right, that's good then. So we're getting European football out.
Go back to the first one. Go back to the first set of fixtures. There you go. And I think that we lose to Arsenal and Liverpool, and then we beat Fulham, beat Palace, and then I think we draw to Forest. So 3 draws, 7 wins.
Do you think we get 7 points from that? And we'll go through points then.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I think I mean, I actually have a very good feeling about this Arsenal game. This North London derby. I feel like we're going to have a bit of a bounce.
We're going for a minimum of 7 points, right?
Minimum of 7 points.
Minimum of 7.
Yeah.
And we're from here, guys. Come on.
I have 18 points the rest of the way.
I think we can tie, or at the very least tie Sunderland.
8.
I think we can beat Brighton.
11.
I watched Wolves against Forest, and Wolves, it was 0-0, which of course is a barn burner, but it was a real eye opener to see just how poor Wolves are. They were so bad. I absolutely believe, regardless of where we're playing them, we can beat them. So we beat Wolves.
14.
Aston Villa has been doing very well, but look, they're gettable. But let's say we lose to Villa away. I think we can beat Leeds.
17.
Chelsea at Stamford Bridge is going to be difficult. It just depends on the Chelsea that shows up on the day. Chelsea, unfortunately, they do this, right? They're good one game, terrible the next. They've been doing pretty well. Let's say we lose to Chelsea. I think we can get points off of Everton.
20.
And yeah,
we're in Europe, aren't we? Well, we get 20 points. We get Conference League maybe, and that'd be good for the youngsters. As much as I wouldn't want to be in the Conference League again, but if it meant kids were getting game time and experience, I wouldn't be against it.
Yeah. I think we can do it. Especially if we get a bit of a new manager bounce. Look, if we get a new manager bounce, it means that we're getting points off of ours.
Maybe it might have been. Maybe we could have got rid of Frank a little bit earlier. Yeah, because I didn't really turn on until the last couple of results. Really, I thought, nah. I was kind of like, I always believe, because the reason I'm always 2/3 full is simply because I live a mile and a half from the ground. I'm a season ticket holder. And my mind and logic is just quite linear on this. I mean, I'm not leaving my house and going to that stadium if I think we're going to lose the game. I wouldn't have a season ticket. I mean, so that's why I'm more positive than other fans. I get the angst. I get the angles they come from. I don't knock them for it. Like on here, everyone has their say, and fair enough. Whether I agree or not, it doesn't really matter, because we can only we don't control any of the strings at that football club. We don't pull any of them.
Right.
Yeah.
We don't sign players, tactics, teams, pick the manager, make bold. We don't do any of that. But we pay good money and we expect to see good football. Yeah.
You mentioned it months ago, how you never thought that he was going to get let go earlier in the season because they backed. They didn't back him in the transfer window, but they kind of put all of their eggs in Thomas Frank's basket. And,
right.
I
don't think, Alan, the reason it was based on, I don't think that if it was Vinay and Langer, who I don't think Langer's done a bad job. I post all the signings he's made and all that, and I can do it again for people, but I don't think they were a bit proud on this. They don't want to admit they made a mistake.
That's just it.
That's
why they took so long.
And I think that's why I didn't think they'd get rid of him. And now I thought, it's come to the board's pressure them. And I'm thinking, yeah, right, the board are right to put pressure on.
Yeah.
They shouldn't really undermine Vinay. But he might have been told, well, look, Vinay, your job's on the line. If he comes down, you're gone. Because you can bring someone in. You've got to look at the millions it would cost us if we went down into the championship, plus the loss of sponsorship deals. There'll be something written in them probably.
And then all the players,
you lose all this revenue, right? So if you're paying off Frank, and even if, he's got a lot of staff have come over, whether some of them stay or go, who knows? It's still cheaper to get rid of all of them and not risk being relegated than it is to go down, and you're still lumbered with them anyway, So yeah, I think it was a commercial as well as a right decision, because he just wasn't up to the job.
It just meant that they had to eat a bit of crow,
and he wasn't up to playing a game every 3 days either. Consistently.
This is how you know that Lang and Vinay didn't want to sack Frank. Do you know how I know? There was no contingency plan in place.
No.
As soon as Frank got fired, we heard that they were still deciding which course of direction they wanted to go, whether it was interim or whether it was full-time manager. These are the type of decisions that should have been made back in December and January when things were starting to teeter on the brink. So at least you have a plan in place to go so you can hit the ground running, so you don't waste time. They didn't have it, which lets you know that they weren't thinking about sacking Thomas Frank. As a matter of fact, a couple weeks prior, we heard news leak that all three of those guys were on the same page.
Mhm.
And it was ownership intervention to step in to tell Vinay and Lang, this dude's got to go because relegation is a real threat. And so what that does for me, what that tells me is, number one, ownership never ever steps into the decision making process.
Well, the other thing was if you
Ever
look
really,
at what Frank,
and it shows utter incompetence that they were willing to risk relegation.
And the reason that Vinay and Vinay Venkatesham and Johan Lang were involved in this was because Frank actually sat down with a few times and said, look, I've sat down, I've had breakfast with my lunch with him and all that, and everything's sweet. Yeah. Well, it probably was because they're the ones that kept him in his job. Either Vinay did, should be the one. They've kept him in his job. It's only when the pressure's mounted that much, the board went, no, you can't do this.
Well, I can imagine that. I'm sure Joe Louis ran the numbers or had the numbers run for him.
I'm not sure Joe Louis. Look, the money was put in trust, and Charrington was the lawyer out in the Bahamas. I think Charrington. I don't think Joe Louis. He's in his mid to late 80s. I think Joe Louis. The club was put in trust in Vivian and Charlie, and you've got Nick Boucher, who's Vivian's son-in-law, right? And even Levy's son has got a high-powered job in Tavistock Group as well. I don't think Joe Louis has had anything to do with this. I think it's Charrington. I think Charrington, he's the lawyer, because he's come on as a non-executive. Look, a non-executive board member. Usually non-executive means you're not paid with no voting rights. Really? What's he doing here then? He is there to oversee the operation, Charrington.
Right.
And I mean, I could be wrong, but he from the Bahamas, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I just think, and Charrington was at the game, Newcastle, right? He was at the game.
He was there.
So he's waiting to see it. If Frank had got that, he might have got the North London derby. But then he goes after the North London derby anyway, probably, right? So Charrington was there.
My only thought about it was purely on because of the money. Why I think Joe Louis may have gotten involved, because I'm sure even if he wasn't himself the one that said go sack Thomas Frank, I think he most likely in the background had the numbers run to say it would be a financial disaster for us to get relegated, and probably told his kids, do what you have to, make sure we don't get relegated. It would be a disaster. Because again, to him, I think Tottenham is just an investment. That's all Tottenham is to him. And that I think that's partly why he never really spent a ton into the club, is because it's an investment to him. Investment people don't really want to put more money in if they don't have to, if it's still making money.
Right.
I figured maybe that's what he did, because again, like you said, the sponsorship would dry up. We'd lose all our players. It would become unsustainable, as the club with this huge stadium. It just doesn't make any sense. And I think it would be a financial disaster. So I think in that respect, he would be willing to step in just purely on a financial reason.
Do you guys, let me ask you guys this question. Do you guys know what jail cover is? You ever heard that term, jail cover?
Jail cover.
Yeah, have you ever heard of it? Okay, it's when a criminal befriends another person.
Oh,
brings them into their confidence, and understanding that when shit hits the fan, it's going to be that guy that's going to take the fall, not the actual criminal, right?
Yeah.
In my mind, Thomas Frank became jail cover, and they provided cover to the media because Thomas Frank was lauded as this great guy by the media. It almost felt like he was bulletproof when it came to the media, right? A lot of media personnel were essentially making excuses for Thomas Frank, and he was the perfect cover for guys like Johan Lang and Vinny Venkatesham because of their incompetence. That's why they wanted to keep him in his place, because he takes the heat off of their decision making, right? So we saw it in the January window again, that regardless of what Vinny Venkatesham was saying, Johan Lang was the guy that was running point for that January window, not Paratici. Paratici already had 2 feet out the door.
Oh yeah.
He was leaving anyways. He has no responsibility to Tottenham Hotspur at that point. And so from that standpoint, we saw what Johan Lang, could have done for this club, and he failed to do it. And of course, Thomas Frank was the one that was taking the heat. He was 100% taking the cover for those guys. And from that standpoint now, what happens? Let's just play this out a little bit. Now, let's just say that Igor Tudor comes in and he doesn't hit the ground running, and it is a struggle to get points. And maybe we stay up just by the skin of our teeth. At that point, there's no excuses. And I know, Adrian, that's cool. And I know where you're at, right? It's like, I like some of the young guys that he's brought in. I like Matisse Tell and Wilson Odebear, and I like Archie Gray, and I like Lucas Bergvall. And I think a few of them are going to develop into very good players. But the reality is, name one guy that you can look to that is, that he has signed, that for a fact that would start in a city starting 11, or an Arsenal starting 11.
This is what Ange was going on in the overlap.
Right. That's and he was right to say it, right? Like of those players that he has brought in, who right now can step into a Liverpool starting 11 or a City starting 11, not many. Now, some of these guys would be very good squad players, and that's the reality of the team that we have that was assembled. It's a collection of pretty solid squad players. Maybe Christian Romero and Mickey Van de Ven might be the two that do, but for the most part, our forward line, it's youth and squad players. Nobody was after Mohamed Kudus except for us. Not many players were after Dominic Solanke except for us. And in good teams, these guys are coming off the bench. In good teams,
been saying for weeks,
squad players. And Johan Lang has to go. Has to go.
The positives I've been saying for weeks are the fact that players that would have been drip fed into the squad is that it's given Archie Gray and Bergvall a chance to develop, and then Tell and Odegaard that have stepped up a bit more recently. They've still got a lot of developing to do, but they've both stepped up and shown a bit more. Moani looks like he's going to be an absolute superstar, right? So no, that's correct. I mean, like Ange in his presser, in his interview, he said, he wanted Guay, he wanted Semenyo, he wanted players like that. And he said he was given Graham Bergvall, but he praised them up. He said, look, these are talents, but they're just not ready. Basically, he was saying they're being kind. Yeah. Like he's saying at the time they weren't ready. I mean, we see a lot of Gray early last season because he was used in numerous positions. And then towards the end of last season, and I knew Gray would come good quickly because he's been in a championship, which is a good grounding. And then towards the end of last season, Bergvall started to shine. And of course, fans took to Bergvall because he's a more sexier player going forward, more attacking, right? So they really took to him. And so on Bergvall, I mean, like they were hit and miss when they were first given their first chances.
I will say that if Mauricio Pochettino is the guy that they bring in, he will more than likely fail this time around because he's going to be saddled with Johan Lang. If you're going to bring in a guy like Pochettino to rebuild the foundation, you can't have both of his hands cupped behind his back because Johan Lang is not going to bring in the player profile that he needs, right? And so from that standpoint, if you're going to do that, as far as I'm concerned, you have to wipe the slate clean. You have to bring in a director of football that has on his CV the type of acumen that has built big clubs, that has won trophies. And if that means you got to poach him from a PSG or a Real Madrid or Barcelona or Bayern Munich, whatever the case may be, then do it. Because one of the things you absolutely have to have is a director of football that understands the coach in which they're working with. And that's one of the biggest problems with Johan Lang is he did not do it for Ange Postecoglou, and he certainly as hell didn't do it for Thomas Frank.
He survived the Levy Carl, and I posted each year he's been at this club and the signings that have come and gone. I'll send you the link afterwards if you haven't seen it in the WhatsApp. I'll show. I don't think it's bad at all. I don't think it's bad at all. That's with players, and that's without sales and getting players on loan. I'll post you both the links to that. I've got a WhatsApp page on it. I don't think it's done bad at all. Vinay, he's the new CAO. All right. He hasn't started well. He has to take the rap for Frank. And the DOF has to take partial responsibility as well, which is Johan Langer. But I think Langer survived the Carl because even the players that went, I mean, like even when Kane and Son went, and we got money in, and Dyer, other players that have left this club, they're not even on the list I'll send you. He's actually done, because the reason I went to look for it, I thought, hang about, everybody's slating him off. I wasn't no good at Villa and stuff like this. But how true is this, right? So I went, we like to bring you facts here and dials, and we're pretty balanced. And when we have to rip into someone, we will. If we have to critique the team, we've done it loads of times, we will do it. But I believe in being fair. So I'll send you that info later. Cool. Let's go back to this last banner before we end, because this was the second lot. So basically, we were talking like we think the possibility of getting 20 points from these last 12 games.
Yeah, I got it at 18. Wins over.
Only 12 was safe, yeah?
Yeah, so I got wins over Fulham, Palace, Wolves, Leeds, and Everton. And that right there is 15. And then 3 draws against Sunderland, Brighton, and Forest. And that is 18 right there. And I think we lose to Chelsea, Villa, and Arsenal.
And Liverpool.
Okay. Liverpool's still gettable, though. Liverpool, I've watched a bunch of their games.
At Anfield.
Normally I would say you're right, 100%. But lately, they've lacked confidence, and I'm wondering if it's because of the coach. There's some tension going on between Slot and the team, with Mohamed Salah doing his own thing, and there's a lot going on. Ibrahimo Konate and the Real Madrid issue, and will he, won't he, and there's a lot of stuff going on now at Liverpool. Yeah. I still think they're a gettable team.
I just think they went out and bought good players on paper, but it's like picking up a handful of players and throwing them at a coach and saying, get on with that. And you need time with them.
Yeah. But also think about the players that they brought in, though, right? They were like, if Jurgen Klopp was still in control of Liverpool, the players that they brought in would have been phenomenal because they're more geared to play that style of football. Imagine Jurgen Klopp with a guy like what's his name, Florian Wirtz and Milos Kerkez.
Right? Florian Wirtz in Germany looked world class.
Yeah. Ekitike looked amazing. Right?
And then you get Isaac, who come from an Eddie Howe team. Let's be fair. Even when we played well at Newcastle and got stuffed, they were playing a sort of counter-attacking football. So your striker, when you're in a break, is usually going to have a lot of space. Isaac, it's a different game at Liverpool. They're playing on the front foot. So Isaac has struggled. He scored against us.
He's always been a streaky striker.
But didn't we take him out? Wasn't he injured because of us?
He was always a streaky striker, even at Newcastle. He would go on runs of 8 games with a goal, and he would be silent for 2 months.
Well, guys, look, it's been a good show. I thought we'd only be talking about, as Gary would say, to dare to do is to do.
But, let me ask you guys this question. I know we're probably going to discuss it next week, but what is your early prognostic? Your early thoughts on the Arsenal game now that we have Igor Tudor and he's going to have essentially a full week in training. With the players we have available.
When you're on next Friday, we'll be going to that in depth and
just early thoughts. Just early thoughts. What's your early thoughts on Arsenal?
Well, go ahead, Adrian.
They've got a couple of games to play. Who are they playing? They got FA Cup and
they have FA Cup coming up.
And who else they got? They got 2 games before they play us. Who's the other game?
Let's see. So they got here we go. They have FA Cup 4th round against Wigan. That is at the Emirates on Sunday the 15th. And then on Wednesday the 18th, they travel to Molineux to play Wolves, and then we get them on the 22nd.
So we've got 9 days rest now. We play them on the 22nd. 7, 8, 9 days rest, and they've got 2 games in this period.
Although I don't know that the players are going to rest based on history.
They've got a big squad, but you can only put 11 on the field. And so I fancy us to get. I always fancy us You've got to.
Oh, I wish I could go to that game. I would be so excited to go to that game and listen to our fans who could rally behind a new coach.
Who's going to be there?
I've heard it. Like the game you're talking about a couple years ago when Rob Holding got red carded because he was all over Sonny.
The noisiest that stadium's ever been.
That's right. Yeah. I remember how loud it was even on my TV. Yeah. It was crazy. And I'm hoping it's something like that.
When you're playing like them or Chelsea or West Ham, I mean, especially Arsenal, it's the only derby in London. Mm-hmm. Chelsea would like theirs to be bigger, but it isn't. So would West Ham, but it isn't.
Yeah.
You hear it. I mean, if I got off the bus before I even got to the coaching horses and the bricklayers, you'll be here in the pubs, Yid Army and all that. Even people walking down the street, Yid Army. It's just like, once you get in the back of that South Stand, Steve, I'll meet up if you're coming over. Let us know a bit nearer the time.
That's right. Are you going?
Yeah, I'll be there. And because I will be there, I bring, I bring a sort of, I bring the American touch, the Midas touch, if you will.
Yes.
So I will definitely be there for that one. So, I will say that.
Where's your seat?
I am sitting. Hold on, I'll tell you right now.
Go on.
Because I already got my ticket. Let's pull it up. All right, so I am sitting in block 003, row 17.
Is that
there?
East,
it is.
West, or north?
No, it's literally right in the middle of the pitch, right down on the. You go through the east atrium, and it is. Like right down on the field.
But you should still be able to, like, they scan you, right? Just to see you. You should still be able to get into the fan zone unless you get jobs of, so you got to go in the other entrance. I've had that to me. Then I've just walked 5 yards away to the next guy on the stairs because you have to go up to get onto the fan zone, and just it's gone bleep. Yeah, go on, mate, and away you go. And you walk up. So
it's like I'm gonna get there early because I'm gonna walk around that bitch. You know what I mean? I'm gonna see what that stadium is all about, man. I gotta be honest with you, man. Dude, I'm excited for it, and I will definitely look you up on game day as well.
Yeah, just if you trouble getting this South Stand, just look, I've come from America to meet family. You know, I mean, give them some bullshit. Some good.
I'll tell people straight up, man. I'm looking for Adrian.
Yeah.
Where's that?
Where's that? Who? They'll go, who? No one hears that name, mate.
I think in a couple of years, I'm going to buy season tickets. In a couple of years, I'll buy season tickets. Yeah.
Wouldn't surprise.
I might get out to maybe 3 years, but I'll get there.
There's probably foreign people who've got season tickets that put most of the tickets on the exchange until they pick the games they come over and watch.
Yeah, I got to figure out how to buy season tickets, but here's what I will say:
like a one Hotspur member or something.
What I will say is, hopefully, what this did was energize the players.
Yeah, I hope so too.
And is Igor Tudor the best coach possible? Probably not. But at the end of the day, if he keeps things simple and just understands exactly what he's there to do, not to do too much and just wrap his arms around the players and just tell them to go have fun, enjoy the football, and just give me 90 hard minutes, we'll be fine. We will be fine. And it starts with Arsenal. And I would like to think that maybe just maybe the 9 days off is going to allow this team just to decompress a little bit, get their mind right, and go out there and get a little get back for that Arsenal match earlier in the season where we essentially bunkered 10 behind the ball for 90 minutes and go out there and just run, be expansive, and just play solid football. And I don't know, man, like early right now, I don't know, man. I'm kind of thinking 2-1 Spurs.
Good. I'm thinking with Tudor that this morning when news was breaking, Ornstein, fans were polarized, and I think now they've put that behind them. Now they're getting excited. They are excited about it now. I mean, it's typical us, though, really. You know, so you've got to back even the manager in the summer. You just got to do it.
Yep.
You can find Steve here, guys. Those of you watching us, the 50 of you watching us now on various platforms, and please get over there. Subscribe to his channel. Give his videos the thumbs up. He does lots of content.
Yes, he
And
did.
also,
Lots of good content.
Yeah, Weekend Warrior.
you can find Alan over at Team Tottenham.
I don't do much,
He doesn't do that much content at the moment. He
but
doesn't.
I will be doing something after the North London Derby for sure.
Oh yeah, it'll be a complete meltdown. Yeah. So yeah, he might even be ringing the Samaritans, right? So yeah, so you can find Tim. Oh, and while we're at it, get over to Spurs Diehards TTID YouTube page. It's good of you to watch on various platforms, but we could do with you subscribing to the channel and giving the videos a thumbs up. I want to thank my regular guests for coming on, and yeah, we will provide you with. Ian will be going out Sunday at 8 o'clock. Ian Meth, my fellow co-owner, in that.
Nice.
And he's going to be do a whole thing on the. He's got Billy T on, I think, Brian Daigle and Connor S. So they'll be talking about the club's finances and the whole mess this football club is really.
Sure.
And they'll be going into that in great detail. So that show should be a belter. So book that in your diary for 8 o'clock Sunday. Tuesday, will I be doing a show Tuesday? Depends if I've got enough to talk about. But we're definitely back here Friday with Gary as well, and these two to discuss Arsenal minimum.
Yep.
Obviously, during these times when you get breaks, you know, we only want to bring you good content. We don't want to just come on and waffle. We could do a Spurs news and views and do a chat channel Q&A and just take questions off the chat channel. We could do some of that. Yeah, I could think of that. But we like to bring you facts here. So we'll just give you a bit of a rundown, those you are late on the guy we got in. He's now signed, apparently, to the end of the season. Uga. For those of you latecomers, he's a 47-year-old Croatian international. He was a good footballer. He played for Juventus and Hajduk Split, defender. He won the Croatian Cup in 2013. It's the only trophy with Hajduk Split. His playing style for us is like a three-man defence, strong focus on defence and ball possession, favours quick counter-attacks. Yeah, well, I'd like to see any attacking football actually from our team. Right. I haven't enjoyed watching Spurs on a consistent level since Poch was manager. Yeah. I've seen good wins under other managers, but on a consistent level where we strung runs.
I agree.
Right. Also, Tudor worked with Fabio Paratici while assistant to Andrea Pirlo. He was a brilliant player, wasn't he? Juventus in the 2020-21 season. Tudor knows Dejan Kulusevski and Rodrigo Bentancur from that time. He's also worked with Radu Dragusin as well.
I'd be curious how many of the players come back, like suddenly got better. I wonder, you know, that was something I was listening to a podcast. Someone had kind of put it out there. They said, well, what do you think of the players being injured long-term because they just don't want to play for this guy?
Yeah, that could be. I don't think miraculously Dejan Kulusevski is going to be like, all right, let's go.
Maybe not Kulu.
This injection, he had to take the pain away, but apparently he was seen on the leg press machine.
Yeah, so maybe he was like, dude, I don't want to play for you.
Yeah. Maybe the pain's gone in him, and we may see him in April. Well, I mean, we may see Madders in April.
Kulu. You know? I would love to see Kulu.
He's my favourite player. And I know he's Marmite to your fan base out there, but he's my favourite player.
Yeah, he's my favorite player as well.
And I like Romero, and I know he's Marmite to your fan base there, but I think he's our best defender. So pelters are welcome there, right? Okay. Right, guys, we've been going for 2 hours and 3 minutes. Normally, I like to talk. I try to keep to an hour and a half, but you guys always keep me going longer. Right. So I want to thank everyone in the chat for your comments, questions, and we do try to answer as many as we can. Obviously, when the shows get bigger and bigger, we'll take the relevant questions, or they come up here anyway, and sometimes we might be able to take them. That's not deliberate policy on ours, but if shows are going well, I'm sure you're enjoying what we're having to say. With that, thanks to everyone. Thanks to everyone watching on various platforms, and I'm going to play you out with a different piece of music.
Tottenham till we die. We are Tottenham till we die. Spurs die hard, heart and soul. We are Tottenham till we die. We are Tottenham till we die. Spurs diehards, heart and soul. We are Tottenham till we die. We are Tottenham till we die. Spurs diehards, heart and soul. Lily white and navy blue. Lily white and navy blue, lily white and navy blue, lily white and navy blue. Lily white and navy blue, lily white and navy blue, lily white and navy blue. We are Tottenham till we die. We are Tottenham till we die. Spurs diehards, heart and soul. Lily white and navy blue. We are Tottenham till we die. We are Tottenham till we die. Spurs diehards, heart and soul. Lily white and navy blue.